You start with Paul.
Oh, heavens. Yes, okay. How did I come into literary translation in the first place? By complete chance. I'm primarily an academic and have a full-time academic job, so literary translation is not the whole of my life. I was by chance involved in the mid-1990s in a European project based in Amsterdam and run by the European Cultural Foundation, which brought together translators from a number of European countries in a sort of committee structure. So all these European things have to have a committee structure. And to sort of select works of Arab autobiographical interest that might be suitable for multi-translation into a number of European languages at once. It was an interesting project, ran for about 10 years, I suppose. And one of my British colleagues was on the committee and fell out with her European colleagues, another thing that's not unique to European institutions. And so I was invited to take her place. And this was a complete chance occurrence. I hadn't planned it at all. I got involved in this. It involved taking part in the selection process and then trying to sell, as it were, these suitable works to UK publishers or English language publishers for publication. So we were trying to persuade UK publishers to take a certain work. They were keen to take the work, but they couldn't find a translator. So eventually they said, why don't you do it yourself? And so I found myself publishing a translation with the somewhat unlikely title of Dear Mr. Kawabata, which doesn't sound particularly Arab. And things went on from there.
I kind of started, right? There are two ways to answer the question. The first is sort of inexplicable to me now, but when I was a freshman in college, I remember one of my teachers, an English professor, said, "What would you like to do when you graduate?" And I said, "Oh, I'd like to be a translator." And at the time, I only spoke English, so it was sort of a strange choice. But I had just started, I'd started studying Japanese, and I liked literature, and I think, literature plus, and I like to write. So liking literature, liking writing, not necessarily wanting to be a novelist or a poet, translation seemed like a good option. And then in the summer before my senior year, I read a collection of stories by Kawabata, the Nobel Prize winner. In addition to reading, I think the same year, Hello, Mr. Kawabata, Dear Mr. Kawabata. So it's very nice to meet you after reading your work. So I read this collection, and there's one story in particular that I just thought, it is so sad that my friends, my parents, can't read this incredible work because I know they'd love it. And so then for my senior thesis, I translated this, which was a foolish thing to do, but I translated a whole book, 268 pages. I will never forget that number, in one, a little more than a semester, so it's crazy, etc.
Yeah, I did. Well, after I'd finished my degree in Chinese, there was a long period of years where I did nothing to do with Chinese at all. And then I, for some reason, relearnt it all over again, and I did a couple of very short translations, and I realised that that was all I ever wanted to do in my whole life, was translate. And I absolutely fell in love with the language all over again. I just loved translating. But it's really taken until this year for me to do it full time. And by this time next year, who knows, I may be broke and regretting that I gave up my nice, safe, part-time teaching job. But at the moment, I'm just very happy that I can concentrate on translating. But as we're going to talk about soon, translating is not just translating. There's all the associated activities that go with it. So it's a pretty varied life over the last 3 months, and it's only 3 months that I've been completely. And yeah, that's it.
Great. That's right.
Yes, as more or less 75% of what Italian readers read is actually English, American, or anyway, English literature written in English. I definitely do not need to campaign for... a translation. So in my case, or in the case of the Italian translator, I think it could be not the other way around, but to remind the readers that Italian in translation can be good Italian. Yeah. Because this large amount of it being so large, the number, of course, of translations, some of them tend to be tend to be not so accurate because of timing deadlines and things. Yeah. And so I think it's very different from translating from such a rare and a language as Japanese or Japanese translations. This is the exact opposite in my case. Sometimes I feel that translating Alice Munro in Italian is a privilege because I get the chance to read that English, and that English is just so perfect that needs to have a good Italian, an accurate Italian. I hope it's good, but an accurate, a love for those words and for that accuracy that she has. So this is my position.
Sean, do you want to add anything on that?
In terms of what I do, yes, it isn't the same thing as translating from Japanese or Chinese or Arabic, because European cultures are quite familiar. You don't have to reach across quite so far. But it is a useful corrective, I think, to remind the English-speaking, the Anglophone reading public that there is lots of literature out there that is worth their reading, that they might not otherwise have come across. And there are some very bold publishers, particularly coming up now, bold young publishers, who are approaching translation in a very proactive way and going out there and looking for new books from German and Dutch and Italian. And you are enriching the culture, and it works both ways. You're popularizing, for want of a better word, other European cultures, but you're also enriching the reading experience of English readers. So yes, that is a huge motivation.
But go to things like the London Book Fair and meet publishers. And if it's your first book, if you're just starting, don't do something because you think it might be something that you can sell to a publisher. Do something that you're totally passionate about. I mean, tell them about something that you're really passionate about. You might not get to do it, but they might ask you to do something else because they'll see that you have a real love for
Exactly.
literature, not just I can speak 2 languages, so let me translate a book.
Yeah.